want to bring in former White House Deputy Chief of Staff under George W. Bush, Karl Rove. Karl, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
First, navigate for us going into Indiana. What are your thoughts going into this? How important is it? Is it really that critical for Ted Cruz?
Oh, yeah. Even he admitted it on Friday. He sent out a mass email fundraising appeal in which he said, if I lose Indiana, the race is over. If Trump wins it, the nomination is his. I mean, a little bit more artful than that, but that was the essence of the message. And I think that's right. If Trump wins, if the Wall Street Journal NBC Marist poll is correct, and he wins, then the race is effectively over. We'll continue to have some skirmishes in some of the final states, but effectively he's on the path to 1,237 votes, a majority on the first ballot.
Yeah.
If he loses it, and there is a contradictory poll, I mean, we have such confusing, you know, we trust the Wall Street Journal NBC Marist poll, but there's also the Indiana Center for Politics poll,
right,
which has just the opposite. And the Real Clear Politics average is Trump by 2. So this is why politics has been so exciting this year. The decline of the reliability of public polling has led us to have lots of different numbers. Take the number you like and run with it, but tomorrow night we'll know.
Tomorrow night, Karl, it's Dagan. What should we watch in terms of congressional districts and the counties in Indiana for an indication that maybe Cruz has got mojo?
Yeah. Well, southern Indiana, I think, is probably likely to be good for him. It's more, it's settled more by people who came from the South. Northeastern Indiana is Catholic, and then of course you have Indianapolis, which is not only the capital but the population center of the state, in which my suspicion is we're likely to see Trump do well wherever there are Catholics, which would mean the Northeast, and then it'll be interesting to see how the several congressional districts that dip into or are comprised of Marion County break out. I'd say Trump in the South, Cruz in the South, Trump in the Northeast, and the winner is the person who sort of takes the center swath of the state.
Michael.
Yeah, Karl, let's suppose the polls are right and Trump wins Indiana handily. You know, what does Trump focus on now? Does he go to more focusing on the general election? And if so, how does his message change?
Well, he should be focused on the general election. I mean, that's been his best thing all along. He has spent, in my opinion, way too much time, even this weekend in his appearance on Fox News Sunday. You know, he basically said, I got two more to push out of the race. Earlier in an interview with the Washington Post, Bob Woodward said to him, don't you think you need some unity? And he said, unity's overrated. Haven't you broken too many eggs? I got 2 more eggs to break.
Oh, God.
He should be focusing on the general election more, and I suspect we'll see that.
Let me ask you, Karl, once the Republican Party, if they do, get behind him, how does that change what this race looks like? I mean, what is he going to get? When we all say, oh, you know, the establishment's going to get behind Trump once he has the 1237. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, he gets it and then the establishment gets behind him. What do we look at then? How does this change?
Well, look, first of all, this is not the normal election, so Trump can't count on the automatic enthusiasm of Republicans, all Republicans for him, as most candidates, even after heated primaries, have been able to do. First of all, he's never labored in the vineyards. You know, Ronald Reagan and Gerald Ford, you know, they united. Both of them had been lifelong Republicans. Ford and Reagan and George H.W. Bush, they'd united. I mean, people had a sense of, look, you care about the party. This is not a guy who's been a lifelong Republican. Second of all, the nature of this primary is leaving far more than the normal amount of bruises. I mean, he can't be gracious. He can't be conciliatory. He still, even yesterday, on, again, Fox News Sunday, he basically said, well, if Jeb Bush, I got him out. That was easy to do. Well, that's not the kind of language that brings people together. And finally, his own record. Look, this is a guy who was not unified in 2004. He voted for John Kerry for president. He gave 4 checks to Hillary Clinton and finally endorsed John McCain something like, you know, in late September, early October of 2008. You know, this is not a guy who's going to find it easy, and he needs to spend time on this because if he doesn't have the base united.
I did not know he endorsed and voted for John Kerry for president.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
called for the impeachment of George W. Bush.
Yeah.
So this is not exactly the background of a guy who's able to say you owe me unity.
Okay, what about John Kasich? Every time we look at polls, we see him at the bottom, but we're still not talking about him because I still keep forgetting he's in it. I mean, which is it? Is it because Republicans, a lot of them are not, the Never Trump people will say Never Trump, that's keeping him in, and he's staying in because of that, or is he,
he just won't go, or is it because he knows his home state is Ohio and that's where the convention is? I mean, what's the scoop, Karl?
Well, look, candidates, when they get into this, are capable of creating their own realities. And his reality is that he thinks that if it gets to the convention and there's a deadlock between Cruz and Trump, that the party will turn to him. And as long as he's got enough money to keep paying the aircraft bill and show up in the next state and pay his hotel bill, he's going to stay in the race.
Wow.
And well, we can disagree with his definition of what the reality is, but that's the thing. Look, at this point in 2012, we even had Ron Paul still around.
Right, that's true.
You know, thinking that there might be something good to be achieved by campaigning longer.
Karl, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon. Karl Rove there joining us this morning.